This is PWF Empire Live.
It's the best thing going today.
The best insight and analysis on the hottest topics in the world of wrestling happens here. From storylines and news to rumors and reviews, we've got the action covered from bell to bell. Presented by PWFEmpire.com with your hosts,
Steven,
Evan Medina, and J-Dub.
do I have everybody's attention now?
The match starts now.
PWF Empire is live this Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on PWFEmpire.com and YouTube.com/PWF Empire. Jay and Evan here. Thank you all for tuning in. We are continuing this trip down the road to WrestleMania, and since this is a road trip, you know, sometimes we encounter things along the way, and Evan, you're driving the car. He decided to pick up a hitchhiker by the name of Dalton.
A wild Dalton appears. Yeah, I am filling the role of Steven, but I am not Steven. But I think this is the first time me and Evan have interacted since the Family Feud episode, is it not?
I would think so. It's been a long time. Sorry for those 800...
Who won that? I forgot who won that.
I believe it was the Raw show, me and Cass.
It was.
Yeah.
Well, if Steven hadn't said Damian Sandow for an answer, maybe we would have won. I don't know. Just kind of throwing my partner under the bus since he's not here.
And speaking of throwing partners under the bus, Evan, since you're driving the car, you decided to pick Dalton up. I'm just letting you know, if he turns out to be a psycho and like murders us, I'm blaming you. Not like it would do much since we'd be dead, but I just want you to know beforehand, if that happens, then you would be to blame.
I would be the liable one. Well, I'm also probably liable for a bunch of potholes if we go to Raw that were run over after watching last night's episode. Forgive me.
How do you guys know I'm not liable for Steven's disappearance?
That's true. How did he get out of the car if we've been on this road trip just continuously driving? Let's just say we have infinite gas and I've just been driving all this time, and Steven just, what did he do, just jump out the back? I mean,
I don't know. That guy is a wild individual there. I wouldn't put it past him.
yeah,
There's something going on there.
yeah, I think so.
But Dalton, you bring up some interesting questions there. I was about to like just throw Raw right under the bus too and say I wish that there was something interesting to talk about for Raw, but actually there are a few interesting topics for us to talk about on the show tonight, and we're going to do that. We would love it if you guys joined in on the fun and let us know your thoughts on all of the things that we'll be discussing tonight on the show. We have Dean Ambrose. It looks as if he has a mini feud with Triple H going into WrestleMania. We also have some stuff going on with the Wyatt, or nothing going on with the Wyatt family, but the fact that nothing is going on, that is something that we'll be discussing tonight. We have the Undertaker making his return to WWE, interacting with Vince. Stephanie going on the attack against her brother Shane McMahon. A lot of good stuff for the show tonight. Love it if you guys join in on the conversation and let us know what you're thinking about these topics. I'm actually going to start this episode of PWF Empire Live off with a request. I want all of you guys to close your eyes right now and imagine a world where instead of Roman Reigns, it's actually Dean Ambrose being pushed as the top face in WWE. Got your eyes closed, you're imagining it. It looks wonderful, right? Everything looks so amazing, right? Okay, well now open your eyes and realize that that is the fucking world that we're living in, because I looked at this past episode of Monday Night Raw, judging that by last week and Roman Reigns interacting with Triple H, Dean Ambrose interacting with Triple H. Is it just me, or am I the only one that's confused as to who's main eventing WrestleMania here?
Well, yeah, I mean, considering Roman wasn't even here, it's a little bit of a strange show. The whole show just had an off feeling, I think, from the onset, and the way that the crowd was reacting at the end of the show. I do think that they were reacting in a way that was evident that Dean Ambrose is somebody that they may like more. But also, I do attribute it to the fact that they were probably so zoned out from 2.5 hours of whatever the show was before that. So, I mean, I do think there's a little bit of a debate there in that regard. But, yeah, it's weird that we didn't even so much as get maybe a from-home type of promo from Roman Reigns. I think that would have been really nice to have.
See, I don't know. Like, there have been times where, and I'm thinking back to that entry that Roman Reigns had where they had those medical updates, and that just gave me a very bad flashback right there. Those were a fucking hot mess. Like,
and so they were. But since the reason why I'm arguing for it is because he's going for the WWE title at WrestleMania, and I think with that huge event coming up here, that him being there just even to give some sort of update would have been more effective than him not being there at all. But, I mean, I do appreciate that they sold the injury because he did get brutally beaten down and whatnot. But
here's the reason why I say that it, like, confused me because I don't know who's main event in WrestleMania here. It's because when I looked at the way, and not even just the crowd reaction to Dean Ambrose, looking at the way in which Dean Ambrose is booked, that looked like a top face to me. I don't know what the fuck happened with Roman Reigns last week, but he looked like a scrub. And Dean Ambrose this week, I mean, they enriched the guy's character, everything that he did, or most of what he did, it made sense. And there's just something that felt right about what it is that I saw with Dean Ambrose this week versus what I saw with Roman Reigns last week. And I can't exactly put my finger on it, but it's just weird to me, and it goes past the level of incompetence to where WWE just doesn't know what they're doing. I think let's dispel this notion that WWE doesn't know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. Okay.
I think I know what that thing is you're trying to pinpoint, Jay. It's that with Roman Reigns not being there, there's nobody that Dean Ambrose is intentionally or unintentionally overshadowing. Because the long-standing criticism is that Dean Ambrose is overshadowing Roman Reigns when we're trying to put him in the main event here. And what I saw last night, and what I think most of us saw last night, is that there was no forcing of Ambrose, and he was actually standing up to authority. And even if he was trying to get the crowd to laugh at some of the things he was trying to say, they were at least invested in him. And we didn't get any boos. We didn't get any Roman Reigns chants inserted where he wasn't needed. And I kind of felt like Dean Ambrose giving some gusto and really standing up to authority and getting in Triple H's face is something we haven't seen from him. So he wasn't positioned to just be a goofball. He wasn't positioned to just be, an erratic maniac that's doing whatever he can to get the attention on him. He actually seems like a main event player who's attempting to grab something he wants.
And as far as how Roman Reigns relates to all of this, like, I look at what they did with him in the build-up to Fastlane, and I look how he was marginalized in that build, and they told so much of the story with Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar, and I look at what happened on Monday Night Raw this week, and then what happened last week. I'm wondering, is this WWE, because, like, if you want to bring the crowd into this, like, everything that I said, it's completely separate from the crowd. Like, I felt like Dean Ambrose was a fucking top star on Raw as opposed to Roman Reigns being a bum or being booked like a bum last week. If we do enter the crowd into this, I'm wondering, is this WWE basically encouraging the crowd to act this way towards Roman Reigns, or is this them acknowledging it? Either way, I don't think it helps him at all. Because it's I know they know the crowd is not on board with Roman Reigns, but it's like, I don't feel as if they're attempting to do anything about it.
Well, and the thing is, whenever they decide to bring out the qualities in Roman Reigns that work most effectively, then that isn't really a problem. But they did that with Dean Ambrose. But I do think that another reason for this is because Dean Ambrose is more dynamic. Plain and simple. There's more to Dean Ambrose. And I am a Roman Reigns fan, but Ambrose has way more to bring to the table as far as I'm concerned. I think Roman Reigns is a lot more one-dimensional. Can they expand upon that one dimension and make it feel like it's big? Absolutely, and one-dimensional characters can work, but I think that the fear that was invoked in many people in early 2015 with the whole, oh my god, he's going to be John Cena 2.0, is still bothering so many people to this day. And it's not exactly easy to wipe that slate clean, so to speak, and just instantly make everyone who was worried about that just forget about it, because he's still in the main event. He's still going toward WrestleMania. They've really dropped the ball in a lot of ways with him. They booked him a lot better the last half of 2015 than they did the first half, but it's still can use a lot of work. We don't see the best of Roman Reigns frequently. We did see the best of Dean Ambrose on Raw this week.
See, when you say that Roman Reigns is one-dimensional, I vehemently disagree with that, because I don't think he's one-dimensional with it at all. It's all about the way in which WWE chooses to portray him, and for some reason, like, it's just very hard to wrap my head around the fact that they're so incompetent with wanting to push someone as a top face of the company, because we've seen dimensions to Roman Reigns, and interestingly enough, they come when he's interacting with Dean Ambrose. He can be the type of cool guy. He can actually crack jokes and have fun and be that laid-back, cool-hand Luke type person. Then we could actually see him be mad, be enraged. So there are a lot of things that Roman Reigns actually can do, but for some reason, like, I don't know, like, this whole crowd thing, when you take that into consideration, is WWE acknowledging the crowd by the way that they book Roman Reigns, or are they encouraging the crowd to react to the Roman Reigns in the way that they do? And I don't have an answer to that question, and it's like, it's driving me crazy.
I couldn't fathom that they would be encouraging the crowd to boo the person they want to put in the position they're putting Reigns in.
Did you see that segment from last week? You saw that segment.
Of course, where Triple H beat Roman Reigns to a bloody pulp.
And hell, me being a Roman Reigns fan, I sat there and said, Triple H, this is the most fucking amazing dude on the planet. Like, I love this guy. That was awesome. Like, I didn't even want to be a mark and boo him for what happened, because it was so great.
I'd have to agree that it was very good. The thing is, maybe I'm falling into the incompetence category here, but I can't fathom that you would want to intentionally create your top star you would not want to put him in a light where he's going to be overshadowed or booed, and he's not going to be accepted. Once you get that brand of Cena, Superman Reigns, it's really hard to wipe away that label from that character. And so, unfortunately, I'd like to think that this is just WWE acknowledging the fact that the crowd doesn't accept Reigns, and they're going to pay it off with, unfortunately, Reigns is going to sort of bigger heights, become the champion, and we're just going to have to accept it, and whether we like it or not.
Yeah, and the other thing I think too, to kind of piggyback off of what you're saying, I think that if they have Seth Rollins return and go back into the title picture, say against Roman Reigns, and assuming he's champion, then you're creating another situation where Seth Rollins is now going to be the babyface, even though he had been the heel before. And obviously, I've already said before that I think when Rollins comes back, he should be a face. He's going to be a face by default, whether people want him to be or not, because everyone's going to cheer because one of their favorite in-ring performers is back in the company, and Reigns is just going to get booed even more. So they're almost going to have to just go with the heel turn once he becomes champion. I really think that that's the best option, because it's like, how do you save what's already doesn't seem very savable?
And we have a comment from Baby Bell 32A in the chat saying, people like Dean, but on the night, Dean was presented as the babyface and Triple H as a mean heel. That's a big difference from last week. And once again, I'll say, that can't be incompetence. It can't be. Like, how could that possibly be? Like, oh shit, we did this and we had no idea that the crowd was gonna react in that way. I refuse to believe
it's stepping on eggshells. Maybe it isn't incompetence, but it's a failure to go ahead and pull the trigger when it needs to be pulled.
This is WrestleMania motherfucking season. If now is not the time to pull the trigger, I don't know when. Like, I cannot tell you how pissed off this makes me, the way that they're booking Roman Reigns, where it's like they try to hide him from the crowd, But still, the booking just continues pushing forward. The guy is main eventing his second WrestleMania in a row. Main eventing for the championship. Like, if now's not the time to flip the switch, then when is the time? Like, how many times are we gonna have to go through this situation with Roman Reigns and the way in which he's portrayed on TV, to where it's basically like, I don't even know what the hell they're attempting to accomplish. I don't know what they're actually accomplishing with the way that they book Roman Reigns, because it's like, you're not winning over anybody who doesn't like him, and people like me who are fans, I'm sitting here wondering what the hell is going on. Like, so what are you doing here?
Yeah, and the thing is, I think this Raw here, like, to make a general statement, it made me care more about Dean Ambrose and forget more about Roman Reigns. And that's not a thing that I should be feeling if Roman Reigns is the guy going into WrestleMania. That's not a good sign at all. And I mean, I think that the focus is going to end up back on Roman Reigns next week during that, title match and whatever. But still, this episode of Raw just made me realize how great Dean Ambrose really is. And it made me just say, oh yeah, Roman Reigns is the one who's actually in the main event. And that's why seeing him in some way, shape, or form, I think it wasn't going to do a whole lot of extra, but it may have at least helped me be like, all right, well, Roman's still in it in some way, shape, or form. Even if he came up on the Titantron.
I totally get that now.
Yeah, like if he came up on the Titantron when Triple H was beating the crap out of Ambrose at the end of Raw and said, you'll pay for this, or even just something to make you like realize that Reigns is still in it to win it here. That's what
just to remind us of the fact that this dude still exists, because it's like, if you take away somebody that we didn't even want him to be there in the first place, and then you give us an option, you give us an alternative, and the fucking alternative is better than the first choice. It's like, okay, do I want Roman Reigns to come back? Do I want him to get revenge? Like, so
you can't sacrifice aggression at the cost of continuity for an angle.
Okay, so next up, speaking of WrestleMania, we have The Undertaker, who made a return to Monday Night Raw to confront Vince McMahon. As we all know, on last week's episode of Raw, it was announced that Shane McMahon will face Undertaker at WrestleMania 32 in a Hell in a Cell match to determine control of Monday Night Raw. And as goes Raw, so goes WWE as a whole. So if Shane McMahon wins that match, then he is going to take control of WWE. But yeah, Undertaker, he returned to Monday Night Raw, and he was very short on words. He pretty much said that once that door closes behind me in Hell in a Cell, your son's blood will be on your hands, not mine. Of course, he was talking to Vince McMahon there. Now, with the fact that The Undertaker, his words were so short, I'm seeing a lot of people criticizing the way that WWE utilized The Undertaker on this show, especially with all of the buzz that was created coming out of last week's show with Shane McMahon returning to WWE. So at this time, I'm going to ask you all, do you buy or sell this being a wasted appearance from The Undertaker?
Well, personally, I feel that the appearance left something to be desired for me. I think what he had to say as a collective whole was nice, because there wasn't a lot to it. And I think sometimes being short and sweet is okay. But when you hype up the return of the dead man, the Phenom, the big Undertaker return for the first time in a few months that we've seen him, and then that's really kind of all. He kind of comes in, says a couple words, and then leaves, and it's like, I wanted more from him just because I'm a big fan and I enjoy whatever he has to do or say. I do like that he wrapped his hand around Vince McMahon's throat too, so I'm very mixed on buying and selling this. I really am, because it was good, but it left something to be desired.
You're in line, Evan. You're in line.
Yeah, Dalton can cut me in line and pick before me.
All right, zing! I'm cutting in line. I'm going to just barely sell that idea, because I must preface my answer by saying that no Undertaker appearance is ever a wasted appearance on Raw. But I do have to agree with Evan and say said was very short. yes, he choked Vince McMahon, and yes, he said that the blood will be on Vince's hands and not his. So he's playing the hitman role. So it really sounds like Undertaker's not really one to be involved with the family drama surrounding this angle. So I'm going to say that I sell that criticism, but I could have enjoyed a little bit more of Undertaker dialogue. Perhaps that's just me.
Yep.
See, I think that in the era that we exist in today, with the 3-hour Monday Night Raw, if you're going to give me a short promo that's straight to the point versus what we usually get, these long-ass, drawn-out promos that you could tell that they're just there to kill time and they're just there to fill a segment, if I'm having to choose between one or the other, I'm going with the short promo every damn time. And I completely sell this criticism of The Undertaker saying that WWE wasted his appearance, because I looked at what he said and it hit it on the friggin' mark. Like, he said everything that he needed to, and what I wanted from the segment, he accomplished that. He went out there, and I wanted to know, what was Undertaker thinking about this match, and what was his motivation in going into this match. And the way that I see things, Undertaker is an Undertaker. Like, it seems simple enough, but I don't think that a lot of people are looking at it from that perspective, where Undertaker, he doesn't give a damn about the McMahon family drama. He doesn't have any emotion connected to this situation. He acknowledges his position as an instrument of destruction, and as an Undertaker, he is going to kill the character of Shane McMahon, and he's going to escort him to the afterlife. And he doesn't have any emotion connected to the situation, so he's telling Vince, like, I mean, you say I gotta off this motherfucker, I'm gonna off him, and whatever happens after that, you deal with it. I don't give a damn who's in charge of WWE. I don't care about your little family squabbles. I just have an objective in front of me, and I'm gonna accomplish that. And I love that. Love it.
Yeah, right. And that's why I ultimately would probably sell it too, because it's too much. Like, I see where the people are coming from that say it was underwhelming or whatever, but to say it was a wasted appearance, I think that's just an overstatement. So that's why I would sell it. But I still think that it left a lot to be desired. That's my own opinion.
Okay, what do we have up next? Speaking of the McMahons and Shane, Stephanie McMahon came out to the ring and she delivered a very fiery promo directed at her brother, Shane McMahon. She said a lot in this promo, but I don't know. I guess we'll see what you guys think about this one. She basically said he was absentee from WWE. He didn't give a damn about the family, didn't give a damn about the company, because if he did, he would have shown his face within the last 7 years. He just comes back with this narcissism, attempting to take over because he just can't bear the thought of being an employee of Triple H and Stephanie. And she talked about how he had issues with the fact that they were married and just a lot of family drama going back and forth. So do you guys buy or sell this promo where Stephanie pretty much told everyone to bow down to the authority, bow down to the king, and bow down to their queen? Buy or sell?
Well, since Shane McMahon wasn't on this show, I'm gonna buy this promo, because this was probably one of the best ways to get to hype it up. I mean, I think The Undertaker being on the show hyped it up, in a decent way, with Vince also saying what he had to say about Shane. But I think Stephanie's jealousy and her anger, and the fact that she basically gave herself another award ceremony. So I think that was kind of awesome on her part. It really was.
I'm going to call you a narcissist while I give myself another chance to give an acceptance speech for my award that
exactly.
my dad gave me.
Yeah, exactly. So I think she played up her role well and advertised for the match at the same time. So I really think it did what it needed to do. Maybe it's the rest of Raw, but when I was watching live, I was kind of just like, all right, another segment. Maybe that was just because Raw wasn't that good, but as an individual segment, it did what it needed to, so I buy.
I'm a little disappointed in myself with the fact that I was on... I'm on Twitter every Monday chatting for Raw, but I kind of took a break from Twitter because after she said bow down to your queen, I was trying to Photoshop like a crown onto her head, and I was going to say, yes, I bow to my queen. But all of the crowns, like the PNG files for the crowns on Google, they fucking suck. I couldn't find one that fits. So, I'm not disappointed in myself. I'm disappointed in Google. That's what I'm disappointed in. But the fact that I was attempting to make a picture with Stephanie with the crown on her head, I mean, that says all that needs to be said with my thoughts on this promo. I thought it was absolutely amazing, and I love the fact that they're doing this reality into storyline in a work shoot style. Stephanie going out there blasting Shane. I thought that it was amazing. Stephanie in Vince McMahon Jr. mode. So, good stuff. Good stuff from Stephanie. I'm buying the hell out of this.
Yeah, I have to say that I buy as well. Jay, just a note. You could have used the crown from, our logo, but regardless,
See,
I have to say I buy
maybe
because
that's on me because I was like looking for like a specific queen's crown, but like, thanks for pointing out that absolutely obvious thing that I completely missed out on. Man.
You're welcome. Anyway, the best kind of promos, I'm a staunch believer that the best kind of promos blur the lines between work and shoot, and that's very much what Stephanie did here. She's playing up her heel role because she's basking in the glory that she wasn't able to get last week when Shane interrupted them, and it's kind of like she's standing there in the ring pleading her case as to why you should feed me sympathy while she stands there and does her queen wave and be like, shut up, you plebs. But I absolutely buy this because this is the other layer of that angle that we haven't addressed yet. There's the straightforward angle that Shane McMahon could either live or die when Undertaker may or may not kill off the character. And then there's the angle of, well, Shane's coming back and he's trying to assert himself when he would have been the other person to assume the role of Vince McMahon in the backstage part. And Stephanie and Triple H, for that matter, both have a very good point as far as they should be the ones. And as a segment last night, Stephanie played up her heel role as best she can, and what she said was probably drawing from real life circumstances that was very much true. And so, having that moment of clarity and having that moment be as true as it was, I have to say I buy it.
And I'm hoping that Shane McMahon comes back strong next week. This is something that I talked about on last night's episode of the Raw post show. Shane McMahon needs to come back strong next week, and basically Stephanie threw a fastball at him. He needs to knock it out of the friggin' park, because the thing is, when we're talking about blurring the lines of reality and what's real versus what's fake, and of course it's drummed up for the effect of drama and to make it more interesting for TV, or hell, maybe not. Never know. Maybe everything that she said is true. But the fact is, with a lot of what she said, it actually could be interpreted as the truth for Shane McMahon, because you kind of have to wonder, why was he going all of this time? Why was he never on Monday Night Raw? Why didn't he ever appear on screen at a WrestleMania and things like that? And I hate when WWE does this. They have people go out there, these truth tellers, and then they don't let the people that they're talking crap about respond to it. Like that whole thing with Daniel Bryan, and I think it was like his personal trainer, the mistress. He never actually got on TV and said, no, I'm not having an affair. And of course we know it's bullshit, but the fact that he didn't say that, that's important. Then you have Paige going out there and called the whole fucking division sluts and saying that they're sleeping their way to the top. Didn't get a chance to respond to that either. It's kind of, you kind of have to wonder, okay, well, is it true? Really?
It's like accepting it by omission.
Yeah, so Shane needs to come back, and he needs to knock it out of the park next week. Okay, and speaking of knocking things out of the park, the idea of Kevin Owens and the Big Show, I'm not knocking this out of the park. Like, I'm fucking, like, I don't have a bat, I have a bazooka. That's how I'm gonna deal with this one. So I'm jumping the gun here. I'm selling the entire hell out of this. I'm not even asking the question of myself. But just to let you guys in on the situation, we all know Kevin Owens is the Intercontinental Champion. He had a match with the Big Show on Monday Night Raw, and the match ended in a count out with Kevin Owens losing the match. The thing about this is, it is on the road to WrestleMania, so you have to look at things extra carefully. Stuff like this happens on Monday Night Raw every friggin' week, but the fact that this happened on the road to WrestleMania, it kind of gives us a sense of maybe something extra is going to happen here. Maybe Big Show is going to want another match going forward, so Do you guys sell the idea of Kevin Owens versus Big Show at WrestleMania?
Yeah, that's the right way to pose that question, because there's no way to buy this, man. I don't even know, like, how could you even buy this at all? I mean, with all the possibilities of who Kevin Owens could face at WrestleMania, Sami Zayn, that's been rumored, talked about, discussed many times. AJ Styles.
Can I just jump in here? That's not happening. Even if WWE is thinking that, I don't want it to happen because it's way too the window is closed, I believe, for the time for them to pull the trigger on that. Like a feud of that significance. Yeah. You can't do that.
No, they would have had to have been continuing that after the Rumble. Like, they started with a teaser at the Rumble. They would have had to keep that going all this time. So I am in the same boat as you. But I'd still rather see that match any day of the week. And then there's AJ Styles. There's been a bunch of different names thrown around that I would much rather have Kevin Owens face than Big Show. So, yeah, this is terrible, man. I hope that's not where they go with it, but it's really scaring me. Really scaring me.
Yeah, that was scary as hell watching that on Monday Night Raw.
Hell, our American dollar's not worth anything anymore, so sure, I don't mind. No, I'm just kidding. No, I'm not buying this bullshit. Like, okay, so Big Show beat Kevin Owens on SmackDown last week with a count out, and now the reverse happened. So it's like, I understand this is the road to WrestleMania, and there's scary implications for that, but I don't want to see Big Show anywhere near an Intercontinental title, regardless of whether he's won it or not. That makes absolutely no sense.
Or Kevin Owens. Just period.
Yeah, this match is no good for either party involved, and I really wonder, like, where is the AJ Styles match with Owens that we could have seen? Like, I'm not gonna go into that tag team, but where's that match? That should have happened. So honestly, I'm really worried that this either ends up being an IC title feud, or maybe it'll end up with some implication in the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal. But this is not good for Kevin Owens. Big Show.
Yeah.
It really shouldn't matter what it happens to Big Show. But this is not good for Kevin Owens.
I wish that Kevin Owens was in a place in WWE to where we wouldn't be sitting here just a few weeks, like 1 month away from WrestleMania, wondering what the hell is going on with this guy. Like, you just look back at the fact that he came in straight out of the damn gate, beat John Cena, Queen. I was mixing up Squeaky. Yes, squeaky clean like that. I'm still surprised by that to the point right now where I'm mixing up my words and stuff like that. So yeah, the fact that he did that, and this is where he is right now, where we have to question 4 weeks before WrestleMania: is Kevin Owens facing the Big Show? So it kind of makes you wonder. Like, he was such a big deal on the independent scene, such a big deal in NXT. Like, why is Kevin Owens having these kinds of issues on the main roster?
And the funniest and the funniest part about those issues is that he's still one of the most entertaining pieces to the puzzle.
Yes.
He's still so much fun to watch, even though they've been booking him so up and down, so out of control, and so confusingly. Despite all of that, they've still made him. He's still they haven't made him. He has made himself very entertaining act, even despite the way that they've been booking him. So all credit due to his talent.
And
I
the
think
worst
the thing
part is
with Kevin Owens, he has a great foundation that he's built a character on. So it's like, no matter what WWE builds on top of that, the foundation is there. And he's the type of guy, he's not going to go out there and he's not going to get cheap heat talking about sports teams. Oh, your sports team sucks. No, you suck for liking sports, and you suck for saying, oh, we won because your ass wasn't out on that field. You weren't out on that court. So that's the type of person that Kevin Owens is, a very pragmatic heel, and not for the cheap heat and things like that. That's his foundation that has been established for his character, and no matter how WWE books him, that still exists. So I still like that about Kevin Owens on a week-to-week basis.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like, we know Kevin Owens can be that great heel, and it makes you wonder, like, is there really honest criticism backstage where certain parties find him not good in the ring? Like, I don't understand that criticism. I would hate to think that maybe he's not getting to reach his full potential because of the whole fat thing. Like, oh, he's fat, so let's put him in the ring with another fat guy like the Big Show. Like, it makes you wonder, why did they even put the IC title on him? Was he just supposed to be a placeholder to put Dean Ambrose in the main event spot? That doesn't make any sense to me. Kevin Owens deserves much better than this.
I mean, I already told you why. We talked about this last week. So,
Oh yeah. Everybody go watch the political hit.
yeah, guys, like if you haven't watched that video that we did, is Roman Reigns the victim of Triple H's political hit job? Please go watch that video. That was a very, very, very fun experience, and we went all over the freaking place. Like, I'm surprised that you guys like don't see us with our tinfoil hats on, or me specifically, because like we explored this theory, and you guys could like get a sense that I was hinting at that at the beginning of the show, talking about Roman Reigns, that there's a political hit because of a power struggle going on behind the scenes in WWE, where Roman Reigns is caught in the middle, and he's basically collateral damage to forces out of his control. So that's up on PWFempire.com and also YouTube.com/PWF Empire. Give that a look. But yeah, I don't know. Or I do know. I know what's going on. Alrighty. So next up, we are going to discuss Bray Wyatt, because I've been watching what Bray Wyatt has been doing on TV recently, and it's very clear that there were initially plans for the Wyatt family to face Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania in some form or fashion. I've heard Brock Lesnar versus Braun Strowman. I've heard Bray Wyatt versus Brock Lesnar. Some way the Wyatt family was going to be involved with Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania. But of course, we have Brock Lesnar versus Dean Ambrose now, and it's very clear that plans have changed. And it seems as if the Wyatt family has fallen out of favor a little bit, because you take the fact that they lost to a makeshift tag team of Big Show, Ryback, and Kane at Fastlane, and you look at where they are right now. Bray Wyatt is on Monday Night Raw talking about how the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Well, shit, if that's the case, Bray Wyatt, you're insane, because same shit happens with you all the time. You get into a feud with somebody, you attack them, you explain your actions, you get your ass beat, and then, wash, rinse, repeat. So, yeah, I have no idea what's going on with the Wyatt family right now, but do you guys care to explore?
Oh, man. I remember posing the question, is Bray Wyatt better off not facing Brock Lesnar, because that match probably was going to be a dead end for him? Let's be honest with ourselves. That was going to be a dead end match for him. Yeah, he was going to lose, and then you were going to say, so now he's 0-3 at WrestleMania, and what am I supposed to care about this guy for? So, like, is he better off? And initially, my thought process was, hell yeah, he's better off not facing Brock, because now he could actually win a match. But we're at a point right now where we don't even know who the hell he would face. His family lost to a random, Titans team of, Ryback and Big Show and Kane. I mean, who is he going to even face at WrestleMania? We have no idea. Or is he going to be a part of the Battle Royal or something? Like, is that really all Bray Wyatt's going to have? So, I mean, it's almost like, is there any...
it sets the bar very low. Like, he could definitely win that.
Yeah, and if he does, it's like, yay, congrats.
You say definitely. I'm not even sure he could get that done, with or without his family's help. Like, he's fallen so low, dude.
If this is the case, then, man, I don't know. But going back to what you were talking about, Evan, really quickly, when you said that is Bray Wyatt better off not facing Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania? I'm reminded of a quote from, I think it was Mark Cuban on an episode of Shark Tank, where he said 10% of a watermelon is worth more than 100% of a grape. And basically what that means, as it relates to what's going on with Bray Wyatt, him losing to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, that's a 10% of the watermelon part. It would have been much more impactful, and he would have been competing at a much higher stage than anything that he's going to do at WrestleMania now. So that's that grape. Like, Bray Wyatt has the grape. The grape is the win at WrestleMania. Like, if he actually gets the win, that's the 100% of the fucking grape. And I mean,
right.
I'm
yeah, because initially I was
what
actually.
What is that going to do?
Yeah, because initially I was actually thinking that, okay, well, he was going to lose to Brock anyway, so now if they actually do something decent with him, it could be good. But, like, what is there to do? You know, there's really no options unless they throw Kane at him. I mean, like, that doesn't do anything.
That's
probably...
said, what if there's... What option? You didn't say good option. Okay.
Oh, hell no. No, none of these are good options. I mean, even Andre Battle Royal isn't really a good option, is it? I mean... That hasn't done anything for the winners of it so far. First year you had Cesaro. It looked like they were going to push him for about a month, and then that went away. Second year, Big Show wins, and that went absolutely nowhere. And it was on the pre-show of WrestleMania. And this year, it hasn't even been announced, so I don't even know if it's happening. But, I mean, if Wyatt was to be subjected to that, it wouldn't do anything to further promote him. Again, they already struck out, but for some reason they're still at the plate, you know? It's like... I just am so finished with them, and they need to give me something to start believing in them again for, and I don't really know what that is right now. I can't put my finger on that.
At least I will give WWE effort for trying, though, or I'll give them, an A for effort, or shit, what am I saying here? I don't know. I won't, because it didn't work. It failed. I'll tip my hat to you for trying, but, like, I talked about this on the Raw post show last night. It didn't occur to me that they actually had like a plan for the Wyatt family until I saw that video package that they were airing in anticipation for Fastlane, because you had that feud with the Titans of WWE and that bullshit there, that narrative that WWE tried to create. But the Wyatt family had established a pattern of dominance against those guys. But my whole thing on that is, if it takes a video package for me to notice that, when I lived through all of it, I watched all of it live on TV, and it took me a video package to realize, wait a minute, they are winning matches. They are looking dominant. You pretty much wasted your time there. Because if I can't get that sense that the Wyatt family is dominant while they are dominating, it takes a damn video package for me to realize it. You've failed, and I am not too mad that they pulled the plug on whatever they had planned for the Wyatt family at WrestleMania, because these guys are done for. Stick a fork in them.
If that's the logic you're running by, Jay, then by that logic, I'm interested in every feud WWE has ever written off on, because their video production team is phenomenal. They can make the
best
crappiest...
in the world.
Exactly. They can make the worthwhile. And unfortunately for Wyatt's here, it's the loss they took at the hands of the Titans, Kane, Ryback, and Big Show, that really, put the fork in them, so to say, because I could see Wyatt maybe fighting one of the three of them. But I don't see anything worthwhile happening. At least if he was facing Brock Lesnar, even if he lost, you had an opportunity to make him look strong and, go down swinging, if you will. But fighting Ryback, even by yourself, or fighting Big Show or Kane by yourself without your family, doesn't do anything for me, because why do I have any reason to believe you're going to win? You haven't been winning recently.
Yeah, and it's another example of WWE booking themselves into an enormous corner. There's nothing, there's no light at the end of the tunnel. It's almost like there's no good possibility, and it's sad because the Wyatts are, like I've said so many times, there's something really special about that gimmick. But when you don't give us any reason to believe in what Wyatt has to say as a preacher, he's not, your worst nightmare if he can't even beat, jobbers in matches, or his family can't. Why would I take his family seriously? And if I don't take who he's associated with seriously, why do I take him seriously? So, again, people will say, oh, well, Wyatt wasn't in that match, so it's not as big of a deal. He was right at ringside. And secondly, those guys are associated with him. If he... realize, if he said, oh, well, those guys are clearly worthless, and he got away from them, then maybe I would take him a little more seriously, because I'd agree with him, I mean, it's like, it just doesn't do anything for me, so it's too bad. Great gimmick, but they've really done a lot of damage, and I don't know how repairable that is at this point in time.
Wyatt isn't a nightmare.
It's such wasted potential, too, because I look at them, and like you said, great gimmick there. Byron Saxton had a line a few weeks ago on commentary, and he said, it's as if the Wyatt family wants to become the new governing body of WWE. And I said, oh my God, that sounds amazing. I wish that was the case, but then I realized that it meant nothing. It was just a bullshit narrative that WWE was trying to force through commentary, and we've seen that tons of times, and this is just another example of that. So
Bray Wyatt isn't a nightmare. The Wyatt family also isn't a nightmare. They are the unfortunate souls that the psycho killer in your nightmare kills.
Oh God, man. I guess I'll take Katrina, Mil Muertes, Disciples of Death.
Yeah.
That's what the Wyatt family should be right there. That's what the Wyatt
100%.
My God. But I realized that we skipped a topic, and I can't believe that this is the actual topic that we skipped, because if you take a look at this shirt here, you take a look at the artwork that I have of the Empress, 2015 Wrestler of the Year, PWF Empire, Sasha Banks. She is on her very own road to WrestleMania. I mean, I guess you could throw Becky Lynch and, Charlotte in there too. So, Sasha Banks had a match with Becky Lynch on Monday Night Raw, and the match ended in a draw. So there's some stuff going on right now. We don't know who actually is going. We know who's going to be in the match at WrestleMania. It's likely going to be a triple threat. But if this is the case, what are you guys thinking about this triple threat going into WrestleMania? Becky Lynch versus Sasha Banks versus Charlotte for the Divas Championship.
I'm a fan. I wanted this triple threat. That's as soon as they had Sasha Banks come out, what was it, at Royal Rumble, and after the Divas title match, that whole thing, ever since then I've wanted the triple threat, so go for it, guys, go for it.
Yeah, I absolutely buy. I want to see this triple threat. I kind of thought the match we got on Monday between Becky and Sasha, how it ended kind of in a confusing manner, where there was the sunset flip, and then both of them had their shoulders on the mat. Like, I understand why we did it, and I understand that we're setting up reason to tease the triple threat, but honestly, the paradigm doesn't exist on Monday Night Raw where divas can have a really long competitive match and then both pass out because they're so tired they can't get the job done. So I buy the fact that played into the narrative on Monday, and I absolutely want to see this triple threat, but for purposes of the build around the triple threat, I didn't think Monday did any favors to either of them.
Yeah, it's kind of weird, the situation that we're in right now, because, and I wish Steven was on the show, because he always gets at me for having an issue with Nikki Bella saying wins, losses, who cares. The fact isn't, like, it's not just that, oh, she was a heel, so that it wasn't a problem with that. You have to understand the moment, have your fingers on the pulse of what's going on, and realize the gravity of the situation. And I don't feel that they knew what was going on back then. Like, they didn't understand, oh, hey, we're actually trying to build up a division. Maybe you don't want to have your champion going out there saying wins, losses, who cares. But the way that ties into this, that ending of that match was so weird. And you would, like, the optimal situation would be them getting into the ring, having a very competitive match, and having a definitive winner, because that's how you build up a division. You put something on the line, and then somebody achieves their objective and they get whatever is on the line. But I understand why they did what they did on Monday Night Raw, even if I didn't like the execution, because the end of that match, like, Sasha Banks, her role in it was weird, because she does the sunset flip and then she falls on her backside and then just, like, falls to the damn mat, and I'm like, yeah, what just happened? Like, what I mean, did you, like, hit your coccyx back there and something just radiated up your spine? Like, what's the logic behind that?
I've never
understand that. So.
I've just never in my life seen somebody sell a sunset flip ever at any point in time like that, where they just are sitting up and then just flail themselves back, and I'm like, wait, what? It just was weird. So I knew, again, you know what they're going for, but it was kind of, it felt forced rather than, like, natural. Yeah. It didn't feel like they both just were so tired because they had wrestled for 20 minutes. It was only, 10-minute match. And it was a good match before that. I really enjoyed the technical aspect of the beginning of the match. It was really nice. It was probably one of the only examples.
Fought, rough.
One of the few examples that I could think of off the top of my head of a Raw Divas match that was of that quality. And that was nice.
Yeah, you could tell that the stakes were definitely elevated in the match, and they were going out there and they were trying to, get a prize that was on the line. So even though I had an issue with like the specific execution, the end that we got to, like, I do like that. The fact that we're going to get a triple threat, and I'm hoping that they take it to the next level when they build up this match, because it's been a while since we've had a singles Divas match at WrestleMania. I think the last time was, if I remember correctly, WrestleMania 23. And I was hoping that, you know, we could get one this year, because that would show that the Divas division has improved so immensely that WWE had enough confidence in the Divas to go out there and, you know, build up a feud and then give us a payoff to that feud on the grandest stage of them all. Even though it's not a one-on-one match here, I still think with them going with the decision of a triple threat, Becky Lynch, Sasha Banks, and Charlotte, I still think it shows confidence in the division, and I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that it turns out well. And I'll be wearing this shirt at WrestleMania just to show support. Alrighty then. The last topic that we're going to be discussing is actually a comment from the last episode of PWF Empire Live. A viewer posted this comment. I think their name was Yaz DLX. I'll actually go ahead and throw up the comment for you guys so you can see it on screen right now. And the comment reads as follows. In my opinion, Dean Ambrose is becoming a joke. He went from practically winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship to being Roman's sidekick. Just wanted to know your opinion on how Dean can come back to the level he was at post-Shield. Okay, so the thing with this is, when you mentioned Dean Ambrose practically winning the WWE World Heavyweight Championship, Evan, you know this. I fucking hated that feud. I really did. The matches, the interaction between Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins, like, if you're saying you want that Dean Ambrose back, then I'm selling that. I don't want that Dean Ambrose back. I don't want that Dean Ambrose back at all, because that was WWE forcing Dean Ambrose to the top of the card and make this BS status as #1 contender. What I like to see in wrestlers on WWE's roster, I like to see them work their way up the ranks, and you hit those milestones on the way there. I don't want to see somebody just shot to the top and is a #1 contender for the championship. And back then, they were doing, the way that they built up Dean Ambrose was mentioning Stone Cold every goddamn second. Oh, Stone Cold, Dean Ambrose. Oh, doesn't he remind you of Stone Cold? Or this guy, he's just like Stone Cold. Now, this is where we get Dean Ambrose to the level of seriousness. The feud that he has with Brock Lesnar right now, this is his ticket. So you're saying you want Dean Ambrose to go back? No, you don't need to look back. You need to be looking forward, because if WWE tells this story straight up, just eliminate the risk. And they don't even go high end or anything like that. Tell a straight up story. I guarantee you, Dean Ambrose, the night after WrestleMania, biggest star in the company.
Oh, yeah. See, I think the same way in terms of right now is the best of Ambrose. I mean, when he was in the Shield, he was probably the guy that I saw with the most potential. And then the Shield broke up and things happened as they did. This is the best booking and the best of Ambrose this last month and a half. Since then, in my opinion, because I think he's had very topsy-turvy road, and a lot of the reason why that entire feud happened with Rollins and him, it kept being the, you know, we kept making the jokes of get out of jail free, but we like Dean Ambrose, you know, all that stuff, and it's true, because he wasn't in the credible position to be going for the WWE World Heavyweight title.
I would imagine he was low on the kayfabe tier list, or not, you know, he wasn't on that top tier, he wasn't on that top level there.
He definitely wasn't, and that's a real issue, that it felt like he was just kind of being pushed into that spot. And even though I would always argue, well, does he deserve the spot? Absolutely, but he needs to get there, not just be put there. You know, that there's a huge difference between those two things.
And I see Kyler in the chat saying Ambrose has always been over. Yeah, but when you're talking about being over, basically what you're saying is that, oh, well, other people have always liked Dean Ambrose. Like, when you're telling the story of someone and their career, I don't want one of their milestones to be, oh, well, he got cheered by the crowd, you know, so that's why he got the championship. With all due respect, I don't give a damn if anybody likes a person. If I don't get a sense of your journey, if I'm not invested in that journey, you being over, that does absolutely nothing for me. Like, we need people who, like, if they're liked by the crowd and they're over, like, WWE needs to put that stamp of approval on them. The way in which they did it with Daniel Bryan. That's what I hate when people say, oh, well, Triple H didn't put Daniel Bryan over. Daniel Bryan was already over. Daniel Bryan was over with the crowd, but WWE harnessed all of that energy, all of that hype surrounding Daniel Bryan, and they transformed it into a storyline. And that's what matters, what we actually see on screen and the stories that they tell. This is WWE doing that exact same thing in a very different way with Dean Ambrose, and this is it. Like, I'm telling you guys, this is Dean Ambrose's ticket right here.
We have to accept, you know, the Dean Ambrose character as he currently is, because if you were to revert back to what it facing the criticisms that Roman Reigns has been facing for the past year, in that you're just shoehorning him into the main event for the purposes of putting a new face out there. So I wouldn't want post-Shield Ambrose. I want to ride the crest of the wave of the popularity that the character faces as they go on this journey. And right now, facing Lesnar, whether he wins or loses, Ambrose is going to come out better because of it. He's going to look more credible.
Yes.
And for that reason, I would want current Dean Ambrose. So I enjoy that he's standing up to authority. I enjoy that he's got the crowd on his side, not just because he's a new face, but because he warrants having the crowd on his side, because he's somebody we can get behind as both a face and a heel. So don't even go back to that old Dean Ambrose. That guy has been and gone. You need to be looking forward. You need to be forward-looking. You need to do what the WWE creative team doesn't do and look forward.
We got a comment in the chat right now saying, so you're discrediting someone's proven charisma based on the fact that you don't have a personal connection to him? Hell yeah. That's exactly what I'm doing. Because let me reiterate what I said. If you get into a situation where the crowd likes someone, simply liking someone isn't enough to make you a credible contender for the World Championship. People tried to do that same shit with Cesaro when he had those few matches on Monday Night Raw with John Cena. They started talking about moving him up to the World Championship. And I'm like, hold on, pump the brakes. Like, the guy is good, but that goodness needs to be validated via storyline on WWE TV. Simply liking someone is not enough to be a #1 contender for a World Championship. That's not enough.
Oh, yeah.
I don't understand how that's controversial to say that. Like, you need those wins. You need those big moments on TV. Brock Lesnar, that's a big moment for Dean Ambrose.
Well, look at Stone Cold. It's just funny because everyone wants to compare Dean Ambrose to Stone Cold. In fact, not to brag or anything, but the Empire's Court did go in my favor when I did say that there were some reasons.
Kangaroo Court.
But there was some reasons to compare the two, and I still think there is valid reasons to compare the two. But if that comparison is going to be valid, Stone Cold is probably the most well-built up star ever. I mean, he was so well built over the course of 1996 up until he won the title in 1998. And he was already over in 96. People already liked him in 97. Like in that whole time period, he was already getting well cheered. He was already well liked. And everyone saw and knew that he had main event potential. But they didn't put him there consistently until 1998. And he didn't win the championship at all until 1998. That's huge. That to me, that's how you build up a star coherently. That's how they can get over and they can already be liked. People are going to like them more and more and more as they have more reason to connect with them, as they have more reason to follow their journey to the top. Like, AC/DC always says, it's a long way to the top if you want to rock and roll. And it should be for a big babyface like Dean Ambrose, who can be one of the biggest stars in the company. Don't waste that right away and just instantly put the title on him. to me, that falls along the same lines as saying that the Andre the Giant Memorial Battle Royal is already prestigious, even though it's only been around for 2 years. Just slap a name on something and call it prestigious. That, to me, is the same shortcut that you're taking by just slapping the title on somebody way too soon and just being like, well, they're over, so they win the title. Like, Neville's over. People like Neville, but are we going to put the belt on him right away just because he's over? Or should we actually develop him more and more and make him the best he can be when we do put the title on him? So, yeah, that's my opinion.
You
and
can't squander.
Like to state for the record, when it came to that Stone Cold and Dean Ambrose thing, my position in that was comparing him to Stone Cold should not be character development. We should actually get the layers and find out who Dean Ambrose is, what makes him tick, what's his motivation, and we are getting that right now. And yeah, I have to say, I'm really liking it. I am. So I don't know what's going to happen at WrestleMania, but I'm looking forward to it. And this is the weirdest thing because it's like I want to push the fast forward button on this feud between Dean Ambrose and Brock Lesnar and get to the night after WrestleMania. Like, I want to know what's going to be the reaction for Dean Ambrose. Who is he going to be that night after WrestleMania? Because, man, this is a big match for him. And I can't wait to see what becomes of this. So that's it for this episode of PWF Empire Live. Thank you all for tuning in. We'll be back next week. Same place, same time. Tuesday at 9 p.m. Eastern on PWFempire.com and YouTube.com/PWF Empire. If you are watching this video right now, or you may be listening on iTunes, go ahead and rate the show. I'm not telling you what to rate it. I mean, I would like a thumbs up, but if you think we deserve a thumbs up, then you do that. If you think we deserve something else, then you something else. On iTunes, I don't even know what they do. Do they do like star ratings on iTunes? Yeah. Rate, leave a review, all of that good stuff. Yeah, so thank you guys for tuning in, and catch you on the flip side. Peace out.